It's been a whole year since my girlfriend and I have been together. We met while we were both bartending at a local restaurant. She was working while going through a nursing program, whereas I was just going about my life, day by day. Petite, with long, red hair and covered in tattoos, she was kind as she was feisty. We flirted a bit, the back and forth awkward human courtship. Then one thing led to another, and we started dating. We had been dating for a little over a year, and we decided to get an apartment together. I didn't really have any goals, just trying to make it through life as comfortably as possible. I'll go to work, go home, eat, drink, just doing whatever I want as simply as possible. My girlfriend was driven, extremely determined to take down any goals and get whatever she wants. I think that's what kind of attracted me in the first place. She knew what she wanted in her life. I consider myself lucky that she wanted a deadbeat like me in the first place. I'm not sure what she saw in me, but she kept me moving forward. I was happy. We were happy. I'm not saying everything was perfect. Of course, we had our ups and downs. As long as I did as she told me, things would cool off and we'd get back together as normal. But it was last year when we just couldn't get out of a rough patch. And then the accident happened. We were driving home from a long week of holiday festivities when we had gotten into a car accident. The road were icy and I wasn't paying attention. I just wasn't careful enough and I completely totaled my car. I still remember that night, the air freezing the blood that ran down my forehead and looking over towards her to see if she was okay. We were both rushed to the hospital and we were there for a whole week. Ever since the accident, she had completely changed. I could barely look at her in the eye since the accident was all my fault. The car repairs, the hospital bills, and everything else just really took a toll on us. I lie in bed each night hoping for her to forgive, but my apologies were answered with words of hate. So I looked up at the ceiling and just stared as she berates me for everything I've caused. My heart filling up with regret at the undeniable fact that I ruined her life. The other day marked a full year since the accident. I was sitting on the couch going over the letter filled with hospital bills that needed to be paid as she sat on the floor in the corner across from me. Her eyes were bloodshot as she gazed towards my direction. Her stare was burning a hole through me. Usually, she would spend the time cursing me, but she was dead quiet. The silence was absolutely deafening. I couldn't take it anymore, so I grabbed my keys and rushed outside to my car. I rested my head on top of the steering wheel. The air was chilling my skin, just like that night. I took a deep breath and turned to the passenger seat. She was so silent as she sat there, a stoic look upon her gaunt face, while her eyes were fixed forward. I told her again that I was sorry, weak words that pile upon the other countless apologies. I wanted so badly to give it all back, all the time that she had lost and the life that she was supposed to have.
Let's just go.
She finally spoke. Her voice was so hoarse and it was grating in my ears. I put my key in the ignition and cranked my Honda Civic to life. We didn't have anywhere to go, but I obeyed her request. We drove aimlessly for about 20 minutes or so. Every now and then, she would point a long, thin finger towards the direction to go. I took a deep breath and finally worked up the nerve to ask, Hey, what are we doing? My chest suddenly ached as the words escaped my lips. She was silent, her face completely emotionless as she continued to stare forward, unblinking. I had no idea where we were, but we were surrounded by nothing but darkness. I cursed myself at how pathetic I was to listen to her commands, but I felt so compelled to listen to every word she said. A faint light could be seen from a distance, and as we drove closer, our stretch of road had entered the mouth of a large tunnel. I slowed my car to a stop in front of the gaping entrance to the tunnel. Looking inside, all I could see were dim lights that slowly flickered on and off. I didn't even know we had a road that led here. I looked over towards her again to see that she had turned her head to face me. All I could see was a dark outline of a once familiar body. Her voice emerged from the shadows.
Go forward.
I didn't want to go. I'm not sure why, but an overwhelming feeling of dread began to wash over me. Then the inside of my chest started to thump wildly, causing my ribs to ache. The pain was immense, but as soon as I gripped my shaky hands onto the steering wheel, the aching slowly subsided. I placed my foot onto the gas pedal, and we proceed to move forward. We drove into the tunnel. The orange lights were slowly flickering around us. The strobing glow caused my vision to disorient. I was at a loss of how long we were driving. 20, 40 minutes, and there was no end in sight. The sound of her breaths filled the space around me in a short, raspy burst. I was going to ask her what was going on until she cut me off.
All your fault.
Each word slammed my chest like a sledgehammer. There isn't a moment that goes by that I didn't think of that. I tried to make her happy, but everything I did was never enough. I felt cursed. I thought things would be okay as long as I did what she told me. I was constantly walking on thin ice around her, with each step causing spiderweb cracks in our relationship. She continued to speak.
Give it back.
Her voice echoed throughout the car. No, the entire tunnel. I glanced towards the passenger seat to see that she was gone. She had completely vanished, and I wasn't sure what to feel. Relief from her absence or complete terror in the lack of her presence. I switched my foot to the brake pedal, and the car began to slow down. The speed began to lower, and as I did, the inside of my chest began to burn. It was as if something was digging through the muscles and tissues inside my chest and tightly squeezing my ribs. The lights around me began to flicker from a dim orange glow to a solid dark red light. I let out a scream. My chest felt like it was stretching, so I stepped onto the gas again. As the speed went up, the pain dulled out.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please, I'm so fucking sorry. Please.
I yelled towards the abyss in the tunnel. I gripped tighter to the steering wheel to stop my hands from shaking. I didn't dare slow the car down again. The recent memory of the pain was so intense, I didn't want to feel that again. That's when I had passed something. Still in a silhouette, even in this evil red light. I could recognize her. I passed her again and again and again. I didn't know what else to do. I couldn't escape her. I don't believe I could escape that place. I felt my mind break, and I pushed my foot all the way down into the gas pedal. Faster and faster, my car began to speed into the dark stretch of road. To the left of me I could see her, standing against the wall of the tunnel. I passed her again and again. No matter how fast I drove, and how many miles I had passed, she would stay still to the left of me. The memories began to rush inside my head, as if I looked forward. I could see them play out before me. We've been together for a whole year. Ever since the accident, I've seen her in every corner of the apartment that was once ours, staring at me amongst a group of strangers and creeping behind me. It was all my fault that I couldn't save her, that I couldn't do enough for her. Last year, that long year ago, we had nothing but bad things going on. She was struggling with the stress of work and nursing school, and I tried my best to make ends meet. I had picking up extra shifts at work, gotten a new job, and I've done all I could to take care of her. But it was never enough. I thought that seeing our families would make things just a little bit better, a relief from the stress that she had accumulated. Unfortunately, that just made things worse. The entire time we had argued, and she had told me that she hated me. I was never enough for her. She had told me that she tried to fix me, but I didn't ask for that. She said she hated taking care of me, but I didn't necessarily want that either. I wanted us to be happy together. I wanted for us to stand side by side with each other. The roads were so icy, and we were so damn close to our home. I told her that I loved her, and she said with a motionless face staring forward,
Let me out.
She demanded, but I refused. It was freezing outside, and I refused to let her walk home.
I'm tired of you.
She shouted at me. I was taken aback. I couldn't believe what I was hearing.
You've ruined my life. Give it back. Give me back the time I wasted on you.
She grabbed the wheel and began to turn it wildly. I begged her to stop, but my words fell upon deaf ears. I cried. This was all my fault. She wouldn't feel this way if it weren't for me. Being such a shit person. I let go of the steering wheel, and she pulled a sharp turn towards the woods. Our bodies jumped at the uneven landscape beneath my car, and I felt us lift upwards and turn. The next thing I heard was a loud, high-pitched scream and the crunching of metal. I wasn't sure how long I'd been out there. I remember feeling a burn on my face from the blood being chilled by the winter air. My body ached, and I looked down to see a large amount of blood dripping from me as a portion of the front of the car had crushed my chest. I couldn't breathe, and I was sure that I would die soon. I looked towards her, my girlfriend, to see her glaring at me with bloodshot eyes, and her throat completely crushed. Tears ran down my face, and she began to mouth something. Those silent words were the loudest things I've ever heard.
I hate you.
Miraculously, a man had seen the whole thing happen as he drove a distance behind us. He immediately came to rescue us and saw the state that we were in. He called 911, and not too long after we were freed and sent to the hospital, My girlfriend, she didn't make it. But me, well, the damage to my chest was bad. My ribs were crushed and my bones had pierced my heart. Luckily, my girlfriend not only was a donor, she was a perfect match for me. Believe it or not, we were able to transfer her heart into me. The memories blurred with my tears and eventually faded away. I was snapped back into reality when I noticed that I was still speeding through the hellish tunnel. I looked over to see her, but she had vanished again, until my chest began to burn and expand again.
Give it back! Give me back my life!
Her voice was so forced and raspy, but it was loud and clear despite her crushed throat.
You've taken everything from me! You've taken everything from me!
I let out a cry as I felt something burst through my chest. I looked to see her frail hands coming out of me. Then her bloody fingers began to wrap around my mouth to stifle my scream. I couldn't take it anymore. I lost control of my car, and I saw that her other bloodied hand grabbed the wheel and turned it towards the wall of the tunnel. It was like deja vu. When I awoke, I was inside the debris of my crashed car. I was feeling such intense pain. I wished I was still unconscious. I heard something squish and squelch, and I looked at my chest to see. Inside of my open chest, her face staring at me with those burning red eyes. I heard snapping from within me. I could see her showing me something. Pieces of bone that must have been my ribs. She lifted the pieces up to her mouth and began to grind them inside her mouth. I arched my back and writhed in agony. I felt pain, sadness, anger with myself. This all happened because of me. If only I was better, was the only thing that reverberated inside my mind. I felt something else move within me. She began to wriggle her way within me through my arms and legs. At that moment, I wanted to die. I wanted for it to end. But I knew that she was punishing me, making sure that I would feel as much pain as possible. At the very least, I prayed to lose consciousness again. And sure enough, even though I didn't deserve it, my wish had been granted. I woke in a hospital bed, with a nurse and doctor examining me. They told me a story that they had found my vehicle crashed on the side of the road near my apartment, and that the ambulance was immediately on the scene. I came out okay despite my broken ribs. The doctor said I was lucky to be alive, and that I'll be okay. The words muffled as I stared behind him to find her staring right back at me. So here I am, alive and well with her right beside me. I begged her for forgiveness, and she returned my apologies with scorn. I had taken everything from her, and it was all my fault that she had died. Now I must live with her beating heart inside of me, with a life that she should have had.
All your fault.
Hey guys, Silver Underworld here. Thank you so much for this fantastic year. I want to give a big thanks to Spirit Voices for lending her great performance to this video. Thank you so much. You did fantastic. If you really enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe, and comment down below what you really enjoyed. And if you have a story you want me to narrate, please message me in the comments or at my Twitter account in the descriptions below. Good night. Farewell. And remember,
don't get lost in the dark.